At this time, I will call this special meeting of the Port Lavaca City Council to order on this Wednesday, April 30th, 2025 at 5:40 p.m. We will skip the usual formalities. But I do need to ask if there's anyone here that wishes to make a comment before for the city council from the public. Anyone sign up? Okay, comment? Seeing none and hearing none, we will move on to our regular agenda. Ends with action item number 1, to receive the report of on the compensation plan study by public sector personnel consultants. Brittany?
But Mayor and Council, we had budgeted to conduct a third-party compensation study this year, and we actually have Sam Hines here to present it for us.
Okay.
Oh, and there is a copy in your packet of the written report. And also I think the slides that Sam's going to present. The report's marked draft. He doesn't anticipate any changes, but we'll just mark the draft just in case something is changed after tonight's presentation. I guess, Sam, you can take it away.
Great. Yeah, I'm asking to share the screen. Okay, I got it here. Let me pull up the PowerPoint presentation. Let's see. Is everybody able to see that? Or I guess you guys have a copy of the slides in front of you as well, but
Yeah, we can see it.
great. Well, thanks for having me here tonight. I'm Sam Hines. I'm with Public Sector Personnel Consultants. A few of you may remember when we came out, I think last October or November, to kind of introduce the study and decide on the comparators for the study, and then have been on site in January visiting with some of your employees, doing some follow-up work, and then kind of here tonight just to wrap up and kind of give you the findings and recommendations of the work that we've been doing over the last few months. So just as a quick reminder of the scope of this was a job classification study. So looking at your job titles, making sure that they describe the work that's being performed, and then doing a salary survey. So identifying other market competitors that maybe have similar types of jobs or offer similar types of services, and seeing what are they offering in terms of pay. If the city of Port Lavaca is missing the mark, giving you guys some recommendations to get those salary ranges for each position up to a competitive rate. So here are kind of some of the study phases. We've been working on this roughly, I guess, 6 months. We first introduced the study in October to the City Council. I kind of took a break for the holidays around Thanksgiving and Christmas, New Year's. Came back out in January, and we did some visiting with your employees. We interviewed around 60 people just to kind of learn about the tasks and responsibilities that are a part of their job. We also did this in conjunction with the position analysis questionnaire form that they had filled out. So this was something that they worked on in those intervening months between October and January. It's kind of like a 10-page document that we asked the city to give them an hour or two to fill out to let us know about the job. And then kind of the on-site interviews were additional follow-up questions and just getting additional context about each of the positions. So after being out there in January, we began working on our classification recommendations and submitted those to the city. As the classification study kind of began to wind down, we started the market survey. So in February is when we began to solicit information from those 16 comparator agencies that you guys had identified. From those folks, we solicited their pay plans, job descriptions, org charts, anything that would assist us in the process of job matching. Kind of early March into February is when the survey was completed. I met again with the city just to discuss the pay plan design, and we assigned all positions to market sensitive ranges. So a pay plan design kind of involved looking at your current salary schedule, which at the moment I think has a few deleted ranges and some few modifications from the pattern. So we're going to be recommending a new salary schedule that just reestablishes the prevailing pattern on your current one. It's not really too big of a deviation, but I just wanted to kind of bring some conformity to that. And then lastly, just to provide a cost estimate for the implementation of the new salary plan. kind of wrapped that up in March, kind of running in the background. In the meantime, we had a team of job description writers using the content from the position analysis questionnaires to update all of the position descriptions in the city following a similar template and format. So here we are today, kind of at the end of April, doing our presentation to City Council and our final report.
Okay.
So the very first thing that we kind of embarked on was classification. Again, all employees were invited to complete a PAQ either as a group or as an individual. The PAQs are used to identify the number and levels of distinct occupations within the city. We use this as our primary source content to identify the classification and make sure that more or less that the job description or the job duties align with the job title. After doing our first initial classification review, we met with the city manager and finance director. We listened to their feedback and incorporated some of that into the classification plan where appropriate. Again, the position analysis questionnaire, we use this as the basis for the identification of specific occupations to identify job families. So like which jobs work within the same department, job series. So if there's 1, 2, 3 or senior, non-senior, what does that look like? What are the differences in the levels? So we use the PAQ and the interviews as our tools for that. It's important that you do classification before a salary survey. It's the foundation for sound pay practices. You want to make sure that when we're comparing a job that we know what we're looking for and not just relying on the job title alone. So really going in depth and asking the employees, hey, what does your day-to-day look like? What kind of work do you do on a daily basis? Really ensures that we're able to make the best job match when we do the survey. So the other kind of component of classification is that we want to make sure that titles describe the work that's being performed and that they're consistent with industry standards. So if you have some folks in hyper-specific industries like water, wastewater, kind of looking at the prevailing patterns within those industries to make sure that the job communicates the role as it's known amongst their peers within that field. So after doing all of that work, we ended up reviewing 94 of those position analysis questionnaires, and then we did around 60 position classification interviews. Kind of the outcome of the classification study is that you guys have 59 distinct occupational job classes. The majority of your employees aren't going to see a change in their position classification, so 68% will retain their current title. 22% of titles just needed a slight modification, either to make it make sense with the other positions that are found within the department, or just a modification in some cases just to make it a little bit easier to read or understand. And then 6% or 10% of all titles are new titles. So we did identify a few what we would call reclassification. So some folks who had been working under an existing job description, but were maybe doing something a little bit more specific or different from their peers. And so for those folks, they're going to be receiving a new title. We also deleted 6 titles from your current pay plan. Those are, I believe, like your telecommunications department, which was recently outsourced to Victoria County, I believe. And a few other titles that were just no longer in use, like you guys didn't have an incumbent in the role. So in those cases, we just recommended that the title be deleted. Any questions about the classification study before we move on to the salary survey? Okay, if not, kind of wrapping up on the classification studies when we began the market survey. Market competitors include employers that the city competes with to obtain and retain qualified employees. So when we visited in October, we kind of discussed like, hey, what's a comparator versus a competitor? Who do we lose people to? Who do we recruit employees from? We did include like a lot of the cities that are in your immediate geographic area. So thinking about communities that maybe your employees commute to or through on your way to work. And then we also included a few additional that are kind of, again, within the geographic area that have similar types of services as you all. An important thing to remember when we're doing this survey is that we're comparing the jobs and not the employers. So within the comparator grouping, you're going to see some cities that are maybe larger. You might see some that are smaller. Really what's important for us is that the jobs are analogous or that they're similar in some way so that we can make that match. Again, from those competitor employers, we solicited their pay plans, organizational charts, job descriptions. really anything to aid us in the process of job matching. And then for positions that have a private sector equivalent, we've also included private sector data where applicable. So here is the list of the 16 comparator agencies that were used. Again, these are kind of in the geographic area, something that was approved and discussed with council in advance of the study. For private sector data, we're incorporating data from the Economic Research Institute for the Victoria, Texas region. So that's kind of like a database that we pay to have access to that amalgamates private sector data based on geographic region for common occupational job classifications. So that's kind of where the heart of the data came from. For the selection of benchmark positions, so knowing that you guys have around 59 distinct occupational job classifications, we ended up benchmarking 54 of those, so around 90% of all jobs. A few of the positions that we didn't benchmark are either ones that are unique combination, like we're not going to find that job in the marketplace, or an additional level that we're not going to find as well. So typically in a salary survey, we strive to benchmark 50 to 60% of jobs, but because you guys are a smaller organization, I just said, hey, let's see if we can get as much on the table as we can. So we did try and benchmark all positions, but for those 5 that don't have that salary survey data, it was either because there wasn't matches or because the match or so we pulled those. But in instances where there isn't survey data for a particular role, there's a lot of tools that we have to still assign it to an appropriate range. One thing that's important to consider is when we do our matching, there's no such thing as a perfect match. Amongst these comparator agencies, sometimes the distribution of the job duties might be a little bit different, but really what we're looking for is similarity in those knowledge, skills, and abilities, the KSAs. That's why it's really helpful just to have the employees fill out the PAQs first so that kind of what to look for. Here on this page, this is from a different survey that we did, but an example of the salary survey worksheet, or kind of like the work product that we turned into the city. So you guys have 54 worksheets like this with your 16 comparators on there. Kind of in this left-hand corner, you can see the City of Irving job title. So in this case, it would be the recommended Port Lavaca job title. As you move to the right, you can see the position that it's being matched to. So it's not always the case that we match job title to job title. Again, we're looking at the job duties at the job description level to make sure that those correspond. And other cities might call that position something different, or they may have a different way of structuring their job. So it's not always the case that the titles are going to be an equal or equivalent match. It's really the duties that are associated with the job.
This one is not an actual
No,
worksheet.
that's just sample.
That's a sample.
This is just a sample. The format is the same that we have for you all. I was just kind of using this as an illustrative example to show you kind of how we go about looking at the positions or whatever. Kind of moving to the right on this page here, you can see the Irving midpoint in relation to the market midpoint. So when we do our analysis, we're comparing the middle part of the range to the middle part of these comparator organizations' range. We don't look at minimum or maximum because some places have really wide ranges and some places have really narrow ranges. The midpoint's kind of like the one static part of a pay range that we can evaluate across multiple organizations. And so in public sector compensation, this is the traditional approach that's used. So we like to look at your current midpoint in relation to the prevailing market midpoint. For positions that just have a public sector equivalent, we would be looking at the public sector average midpoint in relation to the city's midpoint. For those that do have a private sector equivalent, the public sector average and the private sector average are weighted both at 50% to come up with the prevailing rate. And that would be kind of like the prevailing market midpoint for that position classification.
Do you have a question, Mr. Dent?
So the private sector average is lower than the public sector average. And we're always told that we don't pay as much as the plant. So is this actual data or is this just made up stuff?
This is just an illustrative example of a worksheet that we turned in. So we 54 of these worksheets for those 54 benchmark positions, and those are housed in an Excel document that you have in your possession.
Yeah, I don't know, Sam, if you recall, you know, in our circumstance, if there was any indication that we were on target with private or if they were higher or lower.
Yeah,
It's
it's not
just a-
often the case that private pays more, like sometimes you'd be surprised, but yeah, it varies obviously by occupation, like, and honestly, also like when the survey data is gathered, so I believe this survey data was gathered from like Q4 of last year. So, you know, that is again reflective of the market at that time. All of the pay plans for public sector folks came from their October 1 adjustments of 2024.
So do you have a sense that we're comparable with with private sector or no sense?
Right, so our recommendations kind of position you to be competitive within both of those kind of market forces of private sector and public sector.
You have to be to retain employees, and that's what we want to do is have some retention here in the city.
Yep. Yeah, so, you know,
And I'd asked him and he said it was kind of depends. Some of them were higher and some of them were lower, just kind of a mix. In actuality, this is just a sample.
yeah, and it's not always the case that private sector pays more. Sometimes they pay a little less, sometimes they pay a lot more. In my experience,
There was
the private sector,
54 comparisons.
So will we actually see the data that for our cities, or are we just gonna look at it like
Sample.
sample data?
There was 54 benchmark worksheets
Right?
or positions here. I haven't seen them in the finance committee and I don't know where they're at, but
Well, we,
kind of like you, I'd like to see those. Are we getting to them?
Data.
yeah, we'll
Well,
go
he's
through
given
the
us summaries, but
presentation,
yeah.
and if you have additional questions about the specific data, but more than the data, I want to show you how it was applied and kind of how we've landed on the range recommendations for your roles. So our salary survey findings. So out of those 54 worksheets, there's a kind of a benchmark or rule of thumb that we use in our industry. Anything less than 5% behind market midpoint. So like on this spreadsheet here, you can see that this one is around 6% behind the prevailing market midpoint. Yeah. We would characterize that range as being behind market. So out of those 54 benchmark positions, 67% of your current positions are behind market. So less than minus 5% behind market. The remainder of your positions, out of those 54, were at a competitive rate. So that's within plus or minus 5%. And then none of your positions were surveying ahead of market, which we would characterize as greater than 5% ahead of the prevailing rate. So here you can see just the number of benchmark jobs that were below market. That was 33, around 67% of the sample. On average, they're behind market by around 12.25%. The range of variance, so thinking about the position that's furthest behind market to the one that's maybe closest to being within that at market range, is minus 2% to minus 5.66. The remainder of your positions were at a competitive rate, so the current range is more or less competitive in relation to those public and private sector comparators. And then from this sample, 5 of the positions were excluded because they don't have a current midpoint. So these are new positions that are either being modeled for future use or positions that were reclassified that don't necessarily have like a current midpoint. But we did benchmark, again, produce survey worksheets for 54 of those roles. So kind of after gathering the survey data and looking to see, hey, what is the prevailing market midpoint for each of these benchmark positions? The next step is to assign each position to a market sensitive range on your salary schedule. And so the city currently maintains a salary schedule, but we weren't able to find like a fully all of the ranges like all at once. I think in the past years, some of the ranges have been deleted and some have been modified to be a little bit wider. So our recommendation was just to kind of start fresh with a new one. We're going to be proposing a salary schedule that consists of 40 ranges with 5% between the midpoints of each range and a 35% range width. So as you go from like 1 to 2, 2 to 3, it increases by 5%. And this is a really good way to apply the survey data that we spent all of this time gathering. It also helps to create logical relationships between sequential job series. So when you look at the pay plan, you might say, hey, the entry level for maybe just an example for an accounting clerk might be at a 5. How do we model the senior? The senior's in an 8. So we know if there's 5% between each range, that the senior level of that job is positioned 15% ahead of the entry level one. And so when you begin to look at the pay plan, you can begin to kind of understand the relationships between jobs within a series or jobs within a department. A salary schedule like this also applies for the precise application of survey data. Even though you have 40 ranges, that's not to say all 40 will be in use, but it does help you to kind of select the range that's closest to the market midpoint. So here we have the proposed salary schedule that we're going to be recommending that the city adopt. Kind of our next step to do the range assignment was to select the range whose midpoint is closest to the market average midpoint. So again, we have an example here. This is not from your city, but this is an example showing the administrative assistant, the market average midpoint, came out at 46,899. I have like a formula built into the Excel file that tells me, hey, based on this market midpoint, which range's midpoint is this closest to? So here it's selecting between ranges 5, 6, and 7. It's saying that, hey, range 6 has the midpoint that's closest to the market midpoint. I have the variance over kind of in the far right-hand column to show you like how it's picking, but it's picking the one that's closest. And so by having 5% between each range, you reduce the amount of variance and kind of apply the data. So in this instance, like because the market average midpoint is closest to the midpoint of range 6, we would assign this position to range 6. And so that is the process that we go through for each one of those positions. We had those 54 benchmark roles to kind of inform the range assessment on that salary schedule. The kind of next task is
Hey, Sam, back on 14, is this proposed salary schedule, is that something that's actual or is it just a sample?
No, that's actual.
This is
We're looking at for, okay, hey, thanks, Sam.
So Sam, how is that different than our current salary schedule, except that the range numbers are different? Just
Yeah, really, it's not totally different. It's pretty similar actually, because you guys have a prevailing pattern of the 5% between the ranges and the 35% range width. But over the years, some of the ranges have been deleted or modified. And so we're just proposing a new one that kind of brings everything back to square one.
We're voting on modifying any ranges, so I'm curious about that.
Well, they're slightly different than the existing, because the existing has salary ranges starting at 32 or something.
Yeah,
So
because we
they're
dropped them.
renumbered and they're not exactly the same. That's what we did try to come up with an exhibit to show you the difference. They got kind of complicated, so that's why it just it's left the two to compare.
Yeah, I think the long and short is like the old one started at like 725.
Yes, it's cleaning it up.
But if we widen ranges,
we're no
I
longer
never voted on that, so I'm a little disturbed that.
No, I mean, we
ranges
haven't widened the range.
It said some of them were wider than others. And some.
I don't know, some of it, I mean, we had only, I mean, it was the same,
Yeah, it started like a
35, I don't know. There was.
This is not a major deviation from your current salary schedule.
Okay.
It just starts it a little bit higher because there were like 15 to 20 ranges that weren't in use at the beginning of the salary schedule. By and large, this is the same pattern that already exists. It's just different values.
And I mean, it is slightly different in some places.
I mean, we've used you twice before. We always, so this is the same one you propose each time. It changes because of the inflation.
But it's a 145% tariff tax that we have to pay.
Still.
Yeah, I could apply it on your current
Okay, thank you.
schedule or this one, but the process is the same, So I just recommended one that is buttoned up and doesn't have those deleted ranges on the front end.
Yeah, so I mean, just for example, I mean, they're not precisely the same because our bottom one is a salary range 1. It's the midpoint is 36,660. Well, the closest I've got to that currently is a pay grade of 33 with a midpoint of 38,693.72. So, I mean, it's the same pattern. It's just, we're starting at 31.2 and then going, so it's not exactly the same, but it should be, mathematically, it should be the same.
It's not a huge
Process.
deviation.
Again, it's kind of a reset, cleaning up, because there was some, we were trying to figure out, why did we start at 28? That seems kind of random, just, it was random. Anyway, that's the recommendation we were given.
Oh, we'll be in the same situation in 10 years. So, you just keep moving. So,
I mean, but it was set for the plan we've got now, yeah.
We
Yeah,
never reset it year to year on inflation, use that.
No, we used it, we're using
So a
this.
grade 40 in 1 year, 5 years later, that grade 40, that position is now a grade 42 for.
And
I got you.
Tim, I think
And so you just drop and keep dropping numbers, but at some point you get to where there's so many numbers, you have to just reset it.
but I think the other thing, remember that we were redoing all the job descriptions and everything. So this was an opportunity to do it all at one time, because a lot of our job descriptions and rate and pay grades and everything were from 2013. Because if the city had made some upgrades, but some of that data was lost and crashed. And so we did not have consistent updated information. And that's why we paid, let's just start all over and redo it. This is brand new everything.
it's the same process that's always been used. The data is applied the same way. The values on the table are not so important, more just like the components of the salary schedule, which is by and large the prevailing pattern on your current. We just started fresh because we weren't able to piece together the full existing version of it.
Okay.
Thank
you for that, Sam.
Sure. So kind of after discussing the salary schedule, we did our first round of range assignments that hem really close to the survey data. Our next step was to meet with the city for a review of internal equity. So the survey data is great. It's our primary guide for the range assignment, but we also want to consider how positions relate to one another within the organization, or which positions the organization values similarly. Again, just a general rule of thumb. As responsibilities increase, so should the range. As you go from an entry level to a senior, you might want to see 10 to 15%. So 2 to 3 ranges. From a senior to a supervisor, maybe there's a little bit more distance there because of the additional complexity of the role. Kind of a helpful lens to look at this concept of internal equity is that high to low order sheet that we provided, which lists the positions from highest range assignment to lowest. So you can begin to see which positions end up within the same pay range. Kind of something that's common, during an internal equity discussion might be that if we surveyed all of the director level positions and one came back a little bit lower, but everything else is the same range, we might have a conversation with the city and the city might say, hey, we have this survey data, but internally we want to pay all of the directors at the same range. We value them equally. So let's bump it up 1 range or bump it up 2 ranges so that it's on the same level. So usually with internal equity, it's just kind of minor modifications, either up and down the salary schedule, so that like jobs or positions that have similar components or characteristics kind of are paid or their pay is administered in the same range. So there weren't too many changes from this, but it's something that we like to do just to check in with the client, like, hey, does this make sense for you guys internally? I know that we had just recently discussed the salary schedule that these positions have been slotted onto. An important note, no positions have moved backwards as the midpoint as a result of the study, even if the range number for their position is less than the current one as a result of the new salary schedule. So again, your current one has those like 20 ranges kind of front loaded. So some folks might be accustomed to their current range assignment being like in range 45. Maybe after the survey now they're like in a 15 or a 20. Even though that number has decreased, the midpoint number has not decreased. So nobody moved backward as a result of the study.
I can see why councilman gets paid what they get according to their knowledge, skills, and abilities. $300 a month.
3:30, we voted.
Yeah, but it hadn't gone up until you get out of office.
It's not in place.
No, y'all,
Knowledge, skills, and abilities. Thank you, Sam.
a lot, yeah. So, kind of our next recommended steps for implementation, we would just recommend that the city adopt the proposed job classification recommendations. So you should be able to see that in your packets, current titles to proposed job titles. We're gonna recommend that the city adopt the proposed salary schedule. So that's that new salary schedule document that we just kind of reviewed. And then to implement the market sensitive range assignments for each position in the city. So we've done a few different cost estimates. I think city staff has also prepared their own that includes the additional TMRS and benefits load rate. Our first cost estimate is just to bring everybody up to the minimum of the proposed range. So if after the study, their current salary is below the proposed range minimum, we need to get folks up to the minimum so that they're in the range for their job. That cost is around $126,181 or 2.5% of your current payroll. This ends up affecting around like 32 of your 96 employees. So about a third of your employees will see an adjustment as a result of the market study. We did try and reiterate, during our employee briefings and during our interviews, like the market study is not the mechanism by which everybody's going to see a raise, but for the positions that are behind, those are the folks who are most likely to see increases as their range moves up on the salary schedule. Kind of the other option that we prepared is for all employees to maintain their current compa ratio. So compa ratio kind of refers to the placement within the range. So if you have the midpoint here, you kind of have like 17.5% on either side from minimum to maximum. So thinking about where they positioned in the range, if we were to maintain their current compa ratio and the proposed range, that costing to around $450,000 or 9% of current payroll. I believe Brittany did you prepare an additional cost estimate that might include the benefits rates?
I did, which includes the Social Security and TMRS. So any of those additional benefits that the city pays.
Yeah, and so, because the calculation you came up with for the whole year was, because I think maybe he had some different numbers.
I think that his numbers are different, I'm assuming, because employees maybe have changed.
Yeah, because we were showing 119,841.45 for the whole year. But for if we were to implement immediately for the next 10 pay periods of this fiscal year would be $46,092.87.
It's option 2 for you.
And we didn't really calculate option 2. That, I mean, again, it was probably going to be comparable to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the numbers are probably slightly different. You guys may have had some employees come in or leave the organization since we gathered that payroll file. So I'll defer to y'all's calculations on that. But yeah, looking at roughly more or less 2.5% of current payroll to adopt the proposed range assignments and then get everybody into the range.
Okay.
And we did look and see if in doing that, we were, having any, concerning compression, with somebody that's already still in the range and we're bringing somebody up that's going to be close. And there, we had the department heads look at it too. And we didn't really identify that we were overly concerned with, like, couldn't be, reassessed in October when we give raises again. But
Yeah.
again, again, tonight, there's nothing that says we have to do this right now, but we wanted to present it and, and if council was comfortable with everything, it could be implemented with reserve funds for the remainder of the fiscal year.
I think it's a good idea just to go ahead because, I know that people are hurting now all over. And it's just one of those things that if you're talking about something like that, to go ahead and propose it because we can move with that.
And again, understand, we're adjusting these ranges, but that doesn't necessarily translate into raises for some people because they still may be in the range.
Yeah, so kind of in the intervening years,
They're
with the
way up.
salary survey, you guys can focus on
There's a few, yeah.
the range.
Can I make a motion?
Well, not yet. We're in, that's agenda.
Okay.
Are we gonna talk about individual positions at all?
We have
Data and the agenda too.
yeah, we have the two proposed salary ranges. Yes, we can discuss whatever we need to. It's being,
Before we get into.
Yeah.
I'm just, hard for me to believe that the director of public works would be at the same range as some of these other directors, compared to police and fire. And if you look at the span of control and of what they have responsibility, it seems like, it's hard. I know people wouldn't expect me to say this, but I think it looks to me like the public works salary range is kind of low. Based on the span, that position.
There's a lot of knowledge, skills and abilities.
there
that need to
is.
If you
be,
lose water or sewer, the city's down. That position is like the police and the fire. Yeah, real immediate urgent issues going on there. That span of control is huge.
and I don't know if you can speak to what you did find in your market study. I do remember, last year when I was doing what I did on our internally, we did find that fire and police were way higher. And as you recall, we did bump them up
I think
last year.
because it's hard to keep them. So
Yes,
fast.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just an observation.
Yeah,
We
no,
couldn't-
that's,
If
I
we
mean,
had to, we wouldn't be able to hire a new public works director at the salary we're paying.
Well, I don't know what the data shows, but it just.
And
That's a big position.
yeah,
Emergency responder as well.
Yeah.
So,
well, and we've had, and Sam can attest, we've had several conversations similar to this, and Sam has, remind us all that, the market study is only one part of it. And so, we've given some input, but that's why we're here presenting to council to, there may be input you guys have that, needs to be, factored into this. And again, there's nothing, that says that we necessarily have to adopt this tonight. If there are questions, if, we want to go back and look at some other things, we can certainly do that and then actually adopt it at a later time, we're trying to get this to you so we can the goal was at least have everything ready for next fiscal year. And we're here at this point.
I think we should consider adopting it now.
But I guess, Sam, I don't know if you recall, and I don't, but that I know with but those three positions, we have historically kept them about the same point, but I don't think that that we were, what am I saying? We were stifling the director of public works is because of the others, right?
No,
I think that was basically met within the prevailing rate,
right, yeah.
market wise anyway.
Actually, yeah, so that one, I'm looking at the survey data on my end, it just shook out like market suggested range 24. And so that was for this grouping of director level jobs, they all came out in that same range. In my experience, sometimes public safety and sometimes is positioned ahead of other director level positions, but that's not to say that you guys want to do that with your own organization. Maybe you say, hey, we value them all similarly, but just looking at the gathered data right now, the range 24 comes directly from the survey data. So this is an instance where we're hemming really directly.
What about finance and development services?
Finance and
That in line?
both came in at 24 as well. So we didn't do internal equity adjustments on this one. Like we didn't have that conversation of like, hey, we value them the same as fire and police. Let's put them all in 26. This is like driven by the, where these 3 director level positions came out at range 24.
So I think what I'm hearing is that they're, the directors are all probably about 24, but the point we made earlier, there's such a hard time keeping and recruiting, I guess, fire chief and police chief, they're kind of pumped up out of it.
It's just not.
But yeah, the one here shows everything in order. That's kind of a good guide to kind of for comparison. And then the other one is just.
Following a different line of everybody else. I think I'd like to bring everybody up to the comp, 400, well, $500,000. But I would do that in budget time, what we want to do.
Can we?
In the new budget, and then not do anything. But don't do the minimum, bring everybody up to their comparative value.
So maybe just not do anything until October where we could do the whole thing.
Because again, that's normally the way, you always do the raises for the year, so. And then, because this is the big, $600,000 is a pretty big item.
So we're all public works directors, both over water and wastewater. But, was some public work and then parks and, I mean, that's a, who?
He's paying the tariff.
Well, maybe Sam, maybe Sam go over this again at half speed, every page. Maybe I'll get it right this time.
So anyway, I don't know. I mean, that's my thought.
No,
I think I need, we had issues in the past, but, so I mean, I think we need to bring everybody, whatever that compare, whatever that's called. So that's $600,000 with the
Okay.
insurance and stuff. But that's just my opinion, but we do it at budget because that's,
Right, we wouldn't be able to afford it right now.
Yeah, so, and then.
And then we can go over it a little slower than what, you just throwing it at us or got a few days or a week or whatever.
Get to look at those 54 pages, the bench.
Well, and that's what I'm saying.
I didn't see those 54.
Right.
But I mean, I don't.
Which we can share that detail if you're interested in looking at as well.
Maybe we could start the budget meetings earlier than wait till August or July,
Well, we start in June. I mean, we start in June, so. That's.
Yeah, so we can, so this is a big chunk, but the other, just a comment, I do, looking through this, I appreciate that the higher grade levels and the lower grade levels, they were all like 8-10%. I mean, it wasn't just some grades getting more than others. I mean, it seemed like we're 10% off almost across the board, so.
Really?
It's good to see that everybody's moving up. Because again,
You know,
we had issues with that, so.
Yeah, on average, those ones that were behind, they were behind by like 12-ish%. So you're spot on. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good to see.
Yeah, thanks, Sam.
You bet. Yeah, this is all good conversation. Yeah, if you guys want to take additional time to consider it, we're happy to do additional cost modeling. But this is kind of where we had landed on after doing the range placements, referencing the survey data, having the conversations with your cities about that internal equity component, and then kind of moving forward from there. So this is kind of where we're at in the process. But yeah, if you guys need additional time to
Is this the draft, is this the complete report in draft form, or is there more pages that we don't?
No, this is, I think this is a written report, but we could add to that the exhibits for all the detailed background.
I think the only thing you don't have is the 54 pages with the actual cities.
Right, which that could be in.
I can send that.
Comparisons.
So you guys have that on your end already, if you guys are set up to print. So
Yeah, we can make that as an exhibit to this report.
I mean, we appreciate your work. I mean, you've done this, what, three times, I think, for us now, so.
yes, thank you for the business. Y'all have been great to work with. Yeah, we appreciate the opportunity always. So
Got some good people. We want to retain them.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to.
Well, that's,
receive
oh,
the report.
yeah.
To accept it. I'll make a motion to accept.
Well, I'll second it.
Okay, I'll make a motion. I have a motion and a second to accept the report on the compensation plan study. Public sector personnel consultant. Presented, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Opposed, motion passed. Okay, then we can move on to agenda item number 2, consider adoption of a revised city compensation plan for the fiscal year 2024 to 2025. Ready?
Based on the conversation we've just had, I mean, one of the options would be to, to take more time to look at this and consider this in our adoption of the compensation plan for 25-26. What we were presenting tonight is, if council wanted to, we could go ahead and amend, the compensation plan we did back in September for 24-25 to go ahead and enact something now. There would be funds available again to bring everybody at least to the minimum. But if, and that would be the 46,000, I think.
To October?
Yes, that would be through October, correct?
And then we'd have to redo it again,
Well, we
adjust our numbers.
always do that by
Yeah.
budget, right? Each year we adopt a new compensation plan for that fiscal year. So, and yeah, clearly we will, use this data in doing that. But, we could go ahead and adopt this, for the remainder of this fiscal year. However, again, if, and I heard some questions and wanting, perhaps to look at some more detail, which is fine. We can make sure we get those 54 pages out to look at it in detail, because we all want to be comfortable, with this. So, right now, we've got 10 pay periods left starting with tomorrow, but we can, wait and bring this back at the next council meeting or a special meeting even. And then, either decide to move on with the rest of the fiscal year or just wait and implement it.
I say, let's just go ahead and do it.
Recommended adjustments now, that wouldn't apply to all employees would be getting them, just ones that were out.
Correct.
Just-
Well, what we would be doing is adopting the pay scales. And by doing that, then, that's one action actually, to just approve the plan and approve the job, all the new job descriptions and, and the grades and all that that becomes policy. That's our compensation policy. Then separately, then we decide, okay, we're gonna go ahead and implement this, but only to the extent to bring everybody to the minimum. Because we do, previous years, the council has adopted a policy that guarantees that every employee will make at least the minimum for the assigned pay range. And so if we adopt this tonight or whenever we adopt it, then necessarily to meet that policy, everybody's got to at least be brought to the minimum.
It's true, but we always adopt the policy at budget, so.
Yes, so we can wait till next year. I think.
So $46,000 though, Tim, to bring them up to the minimum. We
That's
spend
so
more,
small.
we
I say,
spend
let's go with
more
the
than that
46.
on a wall.
I know.
If you were in the position, I think, this would be a good thing.
Eggs is gonna go out.
The people that work for us.
And these are humans, all of them.
Exactly.
It's my opinion. I'm just letting it out. We have a budget, we follow our budget, we have a budget cycle, we're outside the budget cycle. If we keep doing.
If we adopt the reclassification, we will not be at minimum.
True.
And that's just, in my opinion, unacceptable.
Let's go with the 46,000 for the rest of this.
What's the amount again?
It's 46,000,
Whatever.
092 and 86.
That's if we adopted this plan.
That's if you adopt it,
today.
yes.
But I like to have the way the budget and all that, look at the numbers, but still, If we,
But if we adopt it, we will.
but we know these people are not getting paid what they're worth. And that's not comfortable for
Well,
me.
I think the thing is, it's.
Salary study every year then.
I mean, if you adopt it and then you know, basically you're, stating that you're approving using reserve funds in order to meet the policy to get everybody to a minimum. And then once we go into budget, then if the instruction or the wishes of council is then to, at that time, budget to where everybody is brought to at least where they were in their range at this time.
Well, that's what we did the last time we did this in 2021. It was a mid-year.
Yeah. But when we did that, though, we just brought everybody to the minimum. Yeah, we didn't.
We did that,
Yes.
and then here comes COVID. I guess that's what brought COVID on, is that we
Right after.
did that.
Well, that's why we do a reset every 5 to 6 years. I mean, we try to do this internally, but.
Well, let's just go
they're
ahead and
Professionals.
go with the adoption and then do with that, use the reserve funds and head out, and then we can.
I think we're gonna have to take a vote on it to, see how it falls, because I can see
Yes,
that.
yes.
And however y'all feel, that's fine with me.
They're taxpayers
I'm not
also.
gonna cry about it, but I know I want to go on record as, hey, I'm ready to, bring them up to stuff and pay them what they're worth. They might walk off the job because they can find another one down the street that's paying them, the living wage. Folks paying less than living
Yeah,
wage.
this would be for everything. This would be to adopt the revised recommendation. Because we would be revising the compensation plan for 24-25 to approve all this.
Yeah, I just.
No, I mean, right now, this would be adopting it for this 24-25.
And when it comes back up in June, July, August. And
I mean,
September.
essentially, the only thing that would change at that time is if by some reason we, in budgeting, we wanted to bring in another employee or do another change of some sort. But this would be, I mean, we would still adopt one for the 25-26 year, even if it was the same as this. Yeah.
Let's vote.
I mean, this is just an amendment.
to be for all those items.
What would be the motion to,
Yeah, that would cover everything.
what's the motion?
Yeah, because we.
Recommended by staff.
The motion is what I'm trying to clarify.
Six items.
Is it the 5 different?
Which is everything,
By staff.
everything that was in his report and,
Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
The documents.
I recommend that, I'm gonna make a motion that I recommend that we adopt the report on the compensation plan that was made by public sector personnel consultants.
Well, that's number
and then go
1.
down.
We're looking at number
And
2.
then,
He doesn't have that one there.
I don't have it though.
Number two is.
Oh, okay.
The one that you marked out?
Find your motion.
Or does?
This is only exactly what
Oh.
compensation plans.
Looking for me.
It doesn't have,
Well, but if we're, I mean,
it's just salaries without doing anything else.
For the
that was,
Yeah.
Sam's term was job classification recommendations. I mean, it's not, yeah,
That's competitive.
the salary survey, specifically the new job classification recommendations. Yeah, I mean, I wrapped it up in a compensation plan, but whatever. Yeah, I mean,
Recommendation right there.
I want to make his,
Okay,
adopt the new job
Yes, it
classification.
says right there.
Recommendations.
yeah,
Well, there are several items here.
There's six different.
so I'll go over them, if that's okay with y'all. Make a and then we can all vote on it and see where, the chips fall. I make a recommendation that we adopt the new job classification recommendations, adopt the proposed salary schedule, adopt the market-sensitive range assignments proposed for each position in the city, adopt the updated job titles and descriptions as presented, acknowledge that the city headcount is 97 full-time employees and 2.63 part-time FTEs. Authorize authorize the increase of salary expenditure of $46,092.87 for the fiscal year to increase the pay rate to the minimum of the new pay scale, the minimum of the new pay scale of any employees whose pay rate is not at least at the minimum of the new pay range now.
I second it.
Well read.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the new job classification recommendations, proposed salary schedule, market sensitive range assignments proposed for each position in the city, the updated job titles and descriptions as presented. The city and acknowledge that the city headcount is 7 full-time employees and 2.63 part-time FTEs. And authorize the increase of salary expenditure of $46,092.87 for this fiscal year to increase the pay rate to the minimum of the new pay scale of any employee whose pay rate is not at least at the minimum of the new pay range now. That's the motion. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none opposed, motion passes. Thank you all.
Okay. Got it.
So I guess nobody's actually above their classification.
No, nobody, I don't recall there was anybody, again, if there had been, they weren't gonna get demoted, but I don't think that we had that instance. that I recall. I mean, there was nobody that was.
Yeah, no-
That was being paid above the
Make it-
recommended rate.
So I have to read off one.
So the recommendation they have is 3 to 5 years and we said every 6.
Yeah, I think that's,
6 years down to 5 or.
I think, I mean, to be honest, I think in reality, it's been closer to 5 years
I
instead
didn't
of
see
6. Because last time we did it was. We did it in 2019 and adopted it. No, we did it in 2020 and adopted it in January 2021. So here we're, 5, so it was like 5 years.
In 5 years from now, can we do this before we go to budget instead of doing the budget? Like,
Well, we.
I have a problem with adjusting the budget at all. I mean, because it's not a guideline, it is set.
And last year,
And that's not the way I do my budget. I have a budget and I'm gonna stick to that budget.
And it honestly, it had to do with the timing when PSPC was available.
And
so
also
we-
part of it is, you want to use relevant or current data. So like a lot of it, if you want a fresh pay plan from these other comparator groups, they're also updating typically on October 1. So if you do it too far in advance, you might not be capturing whatever pay you actually have.
Yeah, so bottom line, and we are doing it. This is in preparation for next year. It's just we have the opportunity. We still got 10 pay periods left. We do have and again, it's council's decision whether we want to amend the budget and just go ahead and act it now or wait till the next year. But it's done. It's done in
I
preparation.
just have a problem with budget that
Yeah.
It should have been done for budget.
Well, and
Last
we
year.
are doing it for.
No, last year. We're doing it now.
This was done in September, not June.
Yeah.
No, but, and the reason, because they weren't available to do it in order for last year. We tried.
We did try.
But they were not, I mean, they were booked.
Everybody else was.
We couldn't do it. And so that's why
Did we budget for it?
we budgeted to do,
We
budgeted this, okay, last year we
To
didn't
do
have
the
the money.
salary survey. Did we budget for the increase in salary?
We had a surplus.
No, because they're gonna hit the reserve.
And that's what I'm saying. But
Surplus. We
Yeah,
had,
yeah.
we had excess budgeted
Reserve.
funds.
We had to follow the budget.
but in this fiscal year, we budgeted for salary survey. Last year we hadn't, we had looked at trying to give them a head start, but we didn't. So we budgeted for this year. It didn't take the whole year. It took till now. So we have the results. So the question is, do we do something with it now or do we wait until next year?
Let's move
Which,
on.
and again, that's council's decision to do.
And that's the only thing, I would like this so we can do it during budget. And
Well,
I understand what you said. I mean, I get it.
waited, yeah. Again, we're just
So
running, give options.
the next move 5 years from now,
Exactly.
maybe we ought to slip them some money right now to make sure.
So
they're
I
first in line.
guess what-
Let's book our appointment now.
So if we budget for it, then we're just saying we don't want to start until like January. I mean,
Maybe if this situation like this happens where it's a mid-year thing, maybe within the budget previous, we earmark some funds for a mid-year.
I think we ought to do that. That would be
and
smart.
quite
All
honestly,
in the budget.
I mean,
Your
At
budget.
least then it's earmarked for.
I mean, quite honestly, though, we did, but we didn't, I mean, we had reserves left and we talked about that those would be
Were they
used.
earmarked for this?
They were in reserves because we didn't have any idea what the results were gonna be, so.
There. So, but now coming in October, so now we've got a $600,000 increase that we're gonna be budgeting for in October to bring everybody up to the comparatives where they were. So in October,
400,000, wasn't it?
with insurance and all that, that was just salary, right?
Oh, I mean,
He
no,
included.
I thought he said.
That was if you wanted to maintain their current range penetration value in the new range. So if their range went up 10%, they're gonna get a 10% adjustment so that they stay within that same part of the range. Like if they're clustered at the minimum, they'll be close to the minimum of the new range, but if they're at the max of their current range, they'll be at the max of the new range. That's kind of what the comp ratio one was modeling, but part of our packages, we do have like a 1 year kind of like warranty thing. So if you guys do want to engage us as you work on your October 1 budget to like model out some range penetration or like where should employees fall within the range, like, hey, we got them up to minimum now on May 1 or whatever. But for October 1, we want to model like where should the employee fall in the range based on tenure, or if you have like performance metrics that you track. There's some different ways we could look at that and we'd be happy to assist.
So the 486,000 you had in your salary, that was just salary or that was salary plus benefits?
That was just salaries, and that again would be maintaining their current, like if in their current range, if they're at the midpoint, they would be in the midpoint of their new range.
So in October, we have to decide
if we're gonna,
well, I
Yeah,
think,
so that could be a.
I thought is we should, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, it'd be during budget time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people will be more comfortable with that decision, but.
and we'll, yeah, we'll
I'm not
we'll
comfortable
have a
with that
number of
paying
what
what they
that's
were.
gonna look like, yeah.
Change the policy on the frequency of the studies.
Well, if we're doing it every 5 to 6 years, I mean, but we also say that every 2 years we'll do an internal.
And we've been doing,
Last year, but apparently it wasn't.
Another meeting.
no,
No, I mean, I know industry's only given like 3% raises, so I don't know why we're 10%.
we've been given what, 5%, 4 and 5% every year.
Like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
But no, it's all good.
You have to keep in mind, I use 12,000 gallons of water, and that's going amount to.
Thank you, Sam.
$46,000.
Conversation.
Thanks for paying our salary, Alan.
Salaries increase a lot every year, and if you keep adding headcount, then it increases that.
No, that's true too.
So we need to have a balance of it.
For sure, yeah. I can just say anecdotally, like, I've been doing this for 15 years and the last 5 years have been the most variable I've ever seen in public sector compensation, where we've seen some cities giving huge increases and others not able to. Part of it was that, obviously COVID, but then some of the state regulations about property taxes and the amount a city can increase its rate per year. So that conversation again about what can we afford moving forward is an important consideration, knowing that you're kind of constrained by some of those factors.
Yeah.
So the FT, full-time position is no longer within our, it's gone. Okay, so that is under current with that.
Yes.
Yeah, the 97 would be with the dispatcher's fund.
100.
Right on.
Moving along.
Okay,
101.
entertain a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
So moved.
Second. Second. Motion and second to adjourn the special meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
What about the workshop?
Yeah, well, that's next.
Oh, my gosh.
We gotta stop this special meeting before we spend all money.
All right, well, great
Any
conversation.
opposed?
Thank you for your
Same
time
sign.
this evening.
None opposed, motion passed.
Thank you, Sam.
Special meeting is adjourned.
All right. We have time for a quick restroom break.
You wanna take a 5-minute break? That was,
Sorry about
Only
that, folks.
5 minutes.
pretty quick break. I will call this workshop meeting of the Fort Lavaca City Council to order on this Wednesday, April 30th, 2025 at 6:52 p.m. We'll skip the usual formalities, but I still have to ask if there's anyone here from the public who wish to give comments to council at this time.
Any comments?
I see no new people here. No one has signed up. Seeing no one else here. Speak, we will move on to the agenda for the workshop, which is agenda item number 1, discuss enforcement and possible revisions to the following ordinances, chapter 12, buildings and building regulations, Article 4, substandard buildings, chapter 20, environment and health, Article 3, accumulations on property, and Article 12, litter, chapter 34, garage sale permits. Eric?
Mayor, council, last council meeting, we kind of briefly discussed it, but I've got a little slideshow, just kind of, that way we don't have to go through the whole deal with building and standards.
Okay.
Are you gonna be Vanna? Excellent. Okay, powers and duties of the, hold the public hearing, of course, and they'll assess the violations for the minimum standards for housing. They'll hear appeals from persons aggrieved by the orders by the city officials and make recommendations to the city council to any changes to the ordinance. I'm sorry?
Apparently it does.
The Buildings and
Yeah.
Standards Commission. If
I'm getting to that.
We don't have them yet. They're coming.
No, this is, okay, okay, let me start it off by, in the state statutes, chapter 54 of the local government code allows for the city to adopt an ordinance and also, develop a building and standards commission to address substandard buildings.
Okay.
And this is opportunity for the city to do that. And this is just my recommendation, instead of bringing everything to council, and, having these long council meetings, having to deal with the substandard buildings as well, we could actually have a separate board that could take care of that. And I'll kind of I'll get into more detail on if the council wants to be more involved with it as well. Let's see, okay. Okay, it's going to consist of one or more 5-member panels to be appointed for terms of 2 years. And the council may appoint 8 or more alternate members to serve in absence of the members. That's just following state statutes.
Okay.
The recommendation is to the members of the board to be familiar with at least fire prevention, building construction, sanitation, health, or public safety. Okay, and then at least 4 members must hear a case, and they consist of a chairperson, vice chair, and a secretary. And then concurring vote of 4 members is required. The code enforcement officer will appear at the hearing to present all the cases. And of course, the person that may be in violation, they have an opportunity to speak on their behalf. Of course, minutes will be kept for all the cases.
And these would have to be posted in accordance with open meetings.
Yes,
I think.
yeah, it's a public hearing. Okay.
But there, at least 4 members of any panel must hear a case, and then it consists of chairperson, vice chair, and then the secretary. Do those 3 have to be present to have a?
No. If the chairperson is not there, then the vice chair can be in their place. The secretary, it varies. I've seen it to where, like me, where the code enforcement officer be the secretary, write the minutes, keep track of all that, or it could be somebody within the panel itself.
That could do the.
Right, or it could be the city secretary or whomever the council decides, or, or whomever.
I mean, it could be Alyssa.
Yes, yeah, it could be the permit clerk or, Yeah, it's just whoever they decide.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yes, sir. Yeah. The functions, of course, is to declare a building substandard, order the repair within a fixed period of buildings that found in violation, may order the removal of persons or property found on private property, issue orders to any peace officer to enforce or carry out the lawful orders of the panel. And that's just in case they do have to remove people or property from private property. I've never had to go to that extent in my years of doing this.
All this has to be brought back to council.
No, sir, not necessarily. And I'll get to that here in a second. Determine the amount and duration of the civil penalty, so they can also assess fines for violations as well. Okay, and then, okay, the owner, lien holder, or mortgagee, this is your options that you have. They may request a single rehearing by a second panel, which may consist of the city council as a second panel. Or you could have a totally different panel. It's hard, you know, it's kind of difficult to get people to volunteer their time. So I'm hoping that we can establish at least a Building and Standards Commission to get a second panel. Sometimes it's a little tougher to do that. But I have seen where the second panel is the city council. But of course, the person aggrieved must have it specify that in writing, and it must be within 10 days within the final notice being mailed. And the panel, whichever is the first or second panel, they may approve or deny the request to hear the case.
Okay.
And option 2 is if they're aggrieved, then they can appeal to district court. And the petition must,
Out of it altogether.
ma'am?
That would keep council out of it all.
Right, and they must petition within 30 days. And what that does is you don't have to have a second panel at all. It could, if the first panel decides that, hey, it's substandard, kind of like what the city council's done in the past. You know, you haven't done anything, the structure is substandard. We order it to be demolished. They have 30 days from the date we mail that notice, that final notice, to appeal to district court. That's how it is right now. And that'd be the same thing with the Building and Standards if y'all decide to do that.
So is this being brought to us because we're too soft or something, or what? I mean, why?
It just sounded,
It's a workshop and this is an option. And I know that, you know, that there's been discussion, you know, that maybe, you know, that things take too long and there's whatever. So yeah, it's for
well,
discussion.
the meeting's going too long, you know, and also it could free up your time to take care of the council duties. I mean, if you feel that this is the duty that y'all want to take care of, that's fine. This is just an option that.
An option.
The homeowner
Say
standpoint
is-
is gonna take the same. Oh,
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, the thing is that you're dealing with somebody's personal property and by law and by reason, you have a certain amount of time that you have to give them. You can't just go and take them to the first panel and then they declare it substandard, tear it down right now. You have to give them a minimum of 30 days, you know, but normally panels I've seen, they'll work with the property owners to try to give them the opportunity to make the improvements.
This is the same board that's also commission when we ever. Or is this a different?
This is different.
There's some expertise.
Totally different, yes. Yeah, it's totally different board, everything.
Okay, experts.
How was that, has this worked out?
It's worked out well, it's my experience. And like I said, it does free up the council to take care of other duties that they.
To me, it does affect Daniel, my, and Rosie's district probably more than the rest of the districts. I know Rosie really tries hard, and Daniel, not that I wouldn't, but try to work hard with these owners to get their property, you know, going in the right direction. I appreciate the opportunity for me to be able to meet with the owners as well and help negotiate you know, getting their place back in shape. So I know it's gonna impact us, giving that power over to a committee to just come in and we don't have, well, we would if we decided, okay, we'll have like a second hearing or something. But maybe when it comes to demolishing, we should be able to hear it, but if we decide on this option, I'd still like to have
And that's.
council involved in it. And
Well,
at
that's,
some
that's
point-
the idea of the second panel. Is for the appeal for demolition.
That's only an appeal. They won't ever come to us. They'll go straight to them.
At first.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
I mean,
And that's why we're discussing.
Well, you know, a constituent might get information from the panel that, hey, your city councilman is Mr. Tippett, go talk to him. And then I could kind of guide them through the system and help them out that way, but I don't know.
But can you already do that though?
I think-
Like, there's nothing on paper says you can't already be in contact with Derek and these people that are.
No, that's,
does it
yeah,
say?
there's, they could
So also-
contact,
But this is just a more formal process that speeds things along.
and I understand.
These
that-
houses, we already deem what the ordinance says and what standards are.
Yeah.
So we should stick to what we said we're gonna do. But like,
Right,
at the previous meeting, we kind of just kicked the can, like when it comes down to it, right?
that's
It's
what,
gonna be the same thing for the appeal part.
I agree.
So
I would agree.
Good on the
Yeah,
first one,
but,
right?
you know, like he said, our districts are low economical. Sometimes people don't have budgets and they
In
don't
every
say
case, they don't
nothing.
have the budget to
And-
fix
and
these
that's what it
houses.
is, you know,
But they don't meet the standard and I suppose you gotta go.
You know, some of these houses have been there for 10, 20 years, you know. You should be able to do something. After 10 or 20 years, that's a long time.
Well,
Yeah, Bradley wants to comment.
It also gives an option for the Building Standards Commission gives the person with a substandard building the opportunity to speak to real experts in that field of whether or not, you know, some of these houses may not be necessarily fixable without serious help.
oh, they might not even realize that.
604 Juanita is a perfect example of that. It's not on the foundation whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money, that's a lot of time to pick an entire house up and redo its entire foundation. And that's 20 or 30 years worth of money. So it gives people an option to speak to a real expert in the field that
Yeah,
can make a real recommendation of what the house needs.
I do know that other boards that when we give, it seems like we turn it over to them to, you know, make the calls on Port Commission and different things. And then, wait a minute, that's not what the council really wanted. So we're gonna turn all that power over to them to be able to say, okay, we're gonna tear that place down. And maybe it kind of goes against what the majority of the council would think, well, no, let's look at it a different way. I don't mind having that to speed up the process, but then I think council ought to have maybe some input on it. Over.
If it's just to speed up the meetings,
No,
that's not a new.
it's not.
And-
I'm talking about the process of getting a house, not particularly the meeting. I'm here for the, you know, whatever it takes to get the city's problems resolved. I'm here for the meeting. But it's not about the meeting, it's about the process of getting that house restored or, you know, okay, we're gonna bring it down to the slab.
How's that committee gonna handle a house with 10 owners? How are they gonna bypass that? You know?
It'd be the same as how we deal with it now. We notify it to the best of our ability. We go by the tax roll. We post notices on the property. We publish it in the newspaper. And if we do find out that there are other owners, then we were able to notify them at that time. One of the best things about doing this is, well, I mean, and we do it now, and it's by state law, is that, you know, putting it on the property, posting it on the property, you know, somebody's gonna drive by and see it, and they're gonna call, hey, Tom, you know, I see that you guys a piece, you know, a notice on your your house. And they're gonna find out that way. And whereas maybe in the tax roll, it might be in the state going to, the address might be going to somebody else. You never know.
You know, I'm
Um,
able to make that connection.
Right. But when you have it posted on the property, it does allow us to be able to find maybe some of the other
Connect.
owners.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any problem with giving you guys more control because.
Well, it's not us.
It'd be the board.
No, I know, but the board, that's what I'm talking about,
Right.
the board, because I know a couple of houses and maybe you don't realize that I could show you some places that have been empty for so long. It's all grown up. No one ever responds or whatever. And the thing is that, we can, and people can complain to me, but it doesn't do any good because I'm complaining because it's, well, there's a process they have to go through. Let's let you guys go through the process. And then if there's some major extenuating situation, then, it can be brought to the council if necessary, but to bring all of those, because as you all know, the biggest complaint that I get from people in the city is that there's so much property that looks so bad here. And
Thank you.
and the fact that we did get this scenic city award, but I don't ever tell anybody that because
That wasn't your neighborhood.
they were telling me that Dolly told me, oh, well, I wouldn't have mentioned that we were scenic city, but the thing is I see nothing wrong with having professionals look at it, go with it. I think it'd be a great idea.
I mean, to Justin's point, the first pass isn't an issue. You bring us good documentation, we say it's condemnable, right? And then they have 60 days, 90 days, whatever. But then the appeal process, if it's gonna come back to us on appeal, we're gonna be in the same situation we were.
Well, the thing about it is if y'all decide to do the appeal process with the second panel, y'all be in the city council be in the second panel, you can decide whether or not you want to hear the case. So I can present the appeal, I can present the request to you and see if it's justifiable in rehearing the case. You don't have to rehear it. But that's totally up to you. Might say, just forget it, let the courts decide.
Listen to the conversation, I think we would probably vote to hear it.
Well, if they, and I'm asking because I don't know, I'm learning like you guys are learning, but if council decide they didn't want to hear it, then they would have recourse to district court. That's it.
Right, that's it. And they still have to do it within that 30 days.
Ultimately, regardless, they still have a district court to deal with.
Yes. Okay. And district court, they might find that there might be a part, or it might be a part of it that was not correct in findings. And it might be brought back to, and the courts might say, there's a lot more to it than just that, but they might say that maybe the commission needs to review it again.
And this is
in whole or in part,
Okay.
They can find that there was a right to appeal, and they may tell the commission to reconsider it. And yet the commission has a certain time frame that they have to do that. There is a little bit more legality to it than that with the appeal process, but I'm just talking about with the second panel itself. If the council would it was just my recommendation. We could also be able to bring a lot more properties at one time, because we could have the hearing starting at, say, whatever time, 5:30, 6:30, whatever y'all decide. And we could hear more cases because we don't have other things on the agenda. It's just building and standards.
Yeah.
So that's another good thing about it.
So if it was to be, enforced with the new committee, would it be like permanent, or would it be maybe later on we'll change it again?
Well, the council has the right to
2-year.
Give it a trial.
You can put them on a probationary period or something.
Is there any more cost to the city, like this committee board, whatever? Do we have to have some city personnel making sure all the paperwork is?
It's all,
It wouldn't be any extra paperwork, any extra documentation, would be any extra cost to the city.
no, sir.
Volunteer board. Think we can get 5 people?
That's what I was gonna
Have to be
ask, do you
specific.
think like contractors and
How's about
plumbers and people
construction?
that
You
field
said
would
employees
want to be on the.
Well, I wanted to get some thoughts from y'all as to see if y'all would entertain this idea. And if so, then I can reach out to some people that I know to see if I can get some interest on being on the board.
Plumber and a construction
Yeah, so
contractor.
kind of a separate thing, are we getting close to zoning? Is that a change? I mean, I kind of wonder if we maybe kind of do all together, or are we like piece by piece?
That's a little bit later on the agenda.
It's on the corner. In this.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Next is coding. Not.
Well, I didn't know how.
I mean, there were a few items we had just, again, for just discussion.
Right.
I think we need to do something, because what we're doing now is not working.
Yeah, and this has been in place in the statutes for decades. I mean, we've had, and like I said, I've had a lot of experience with the Building and Standards Commission. I've had good luck with it. And then, like I said, one of the good benefits is that we were able to take more properties at a time and get more addressed and get more done in that aspect.
And so again, I mean, yeah, this is a workshop. There's no votes being taken, but I think we're just looking for, if there is a consensus of at least interest, then Derek can go and do some more research and see if in fact we think we can create a board. There's enough interest in the community, and then we can bring it back, because it would, involve, amending the ordinance to, enact this board.
Then you said that the Point Comfort is doing something like this, or was that the zone?
No, that was
the zoning.
That was,
Is Victoria doing something like this?
yes.
Yes.
It's working out okay for them?
From what she told me, apparently, I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, I can tell from what I hear, I think they're probably stricter than we are out here, but yeah.
So,
I know, John Clegg is on that board in Victoria. Yeah, you know, John.
Take the elected official out.
so with skilled construction folks that can look at a structure and determine what, just a quick overview, it's gonna take, this and that to get that structure back up to standard. Where I think that would be good if they were talking to the actual owner. That way the owner could, visualize, hey, that's a lot more investment than I really, I can ever afford. So maybe, I need to look at demolition of some sort. So I like that idea, because as council members, we're not that skilled to where I can look at a structure and say, damn, that thing needs some work. But that's about all I can do, is I can give you a professional look at it. And
But Derek can, and we're taking this recommendation on that. And by the pictures that we saw, like specifically last week.
that's when I can say.
And stuff like that, there's no saving these buildings. And the people that, let's say win the lotto, they're not gonna be able to fix these homes.
Well, there
It's
was
sad that they lose
It's gonna
them.
be back at that. It's always that issue.
I just like the idea of having a skilled construction person be able to look at it and not demeaning Derek what's anything at all.
But the difference is the committees, they're gonna have the option of hiring somebody to tell them just how much it's gonna cost you to fix it. Right now, we're not doing that.
Well, they're not, no, these are all volunteers.
Yeah, and they can
We're
make,
not gonna hire nobody. We're not spending.
no, but the committee that we're talking about, aren't they gonna do that? They're not gonna give, who's
They
gonna?
might be able to give an estimate, I don't know. It might
No, it's not their job to be giving estimates or anything like that. No, sir. They're just gonna assess, they're gonna assess the damage. We'll provide the information, and they'll be able to assess.
It's basically the same process that occurs before city council when it's brought by Derek or whomever for substandard building. Instead of it coming before council, it'll come before this commission. So they're not gonna be kind of holding the hand of the homeowner. They're gonna make a determination as to whether the property is substandard or not, just like you guys would.
And they might be, like Justin was saying, how much money do you have? Well, you don't have enough to fix it, tear it down. You know, they might be like that. I don't know. But that's gonna be a determination.
That many more cases coming up?
Yeah, what's the backlog there for you, Derek?
Well, I don't have a list in front of me. Do you have an idea right now of what you have?
I could probably bring 25 or 30.
Yeah, so we see 3 on our meetings.
2 or 3, because if not, we'll be here until.
It's gonna
11,
be
12
way
o'clock.
more than 25 and 30. All you gotta do is drive around the neighborhood.
But, and we're not gonna take that many to the commission, and the good thing about the commission is depending on how the council and the commission decides to meet, they could meet every month, they could meet every quarter.
Yeah.
And so if they give certain properties 6 months to comply, they can come back the next month with some other properties, and we can alternate. But, so that way we could get a lot knocked out. I think that's an option, or they might, they can meet every quarter or whatever and just, you have 90 days, and at the 90-day next meeting, they haven't done anything, we'll tear it down type deal.
I think what's the holdup, this is my personal opinion, is the time frame. If they get in touch with you, we have to start a time frame again, from what I understand. That's what, so I think all that time frame for us is just, for me, it's just dragging it out more.
But Derek, as a percentage, how many of these people are you actually getting able to get in contact with?
A lot of them are houses that are pretty much abandoned. The person that lived there passed away and went into an estate. Now you have a bunch of people that own the property, and nobody wants to invest a lot of money into it because that would just benefit the others. And, it just sits there.
But you are making contact with them though?
We send letters.
Do they call you back? What I'm saying, do you have that?
If they do, then we try to work with them.
And if they don't,
But most of them, they don't.
Wait, so it is rare to get in contact with somebody?
Are you looking for a percentage, Justin?
Yeah,
Probably about 11%.
that's all you have.
About 11? That's specific.
Roughly actually contacts us back. Most of the time, it's just a ghost in the dark. Any form of response.
do you make contact only by written, or do you make contact by
I attempt
phone?
Several modes of contact, from leaving things on the property, door hangers, posting on the property, then we attempt letters. We don't have a way to get people's phone numbers. A lot of these homes have been abandoned for, like Derek said, 10 to 15 years. You go to the water department, they haven't had water since 2000. You can't, there's no active phone number. We try and call the number from the water department.
What about from the tax office? They don't have that information?
The tax office, most of them are also behind on taxes, so there's no updated information. That's where we get the information to send the letters.
Well, we're required to use the tax office for the information.
They don't have phone numbers.
No, they don't have phone numbers, no, sir. And then the ones that are, he was talking about the ones with back taxes, where we are working with the tax appraisal to get them foreclosed on. But that, and that usually takes, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, something like that but we don't bring those to the council, right? We're dealing with the ones that are actually paying the taxes that aren't doing anything with the property and are abandoned.
Oh.
We haven't even touched the ones that are substandard that people are actually living in. That's going to be years down the road.
Oh, thank God.
Chapter 214, which addresses the sub, has a list of resources that have to be consulted as to show diligent efforts on behalf of the
Yeah.
state. So the tax records, utility records, all that. So
Well, it's the ones where people either are still living in town and may not live in the house. Those are the ones that are the more difficult ones to handle, because people want to fix them up, but they don't have the money. The ones where nobody contacts you, there's 10 owners, haven't been there for 10 years. It doesn't matter if council or the board, those are easy from our perspective.
Right.
Timing is what it is anyway. So I don't know.
I'm on board with your recommendations. at least give it a try. But like I said, what we're doing now is not working.
Which one of the, one or the two?
Have to ask that?
Mhm.
Oh, well,
What, bottom line, you want council to be involved at some stage or not?
Well, it sounded like council wanted to be involved.
what's that?
Council wants to.
Does the council want to get involved?
Be involved at some point.
Well, if we did that, we're gonna be right back where we started.
Exactly.
Only if there's some big problem would I think that would be necessary because, you know, I trust them and you, if you consult with these different resources and you've got a committee that's done this, they're familiar with it. I think we need to trust in people, but let them do it, you know, because it's not, you know, I don't know anything about. I don't think I could even nail a hammer a nail without hurting myself, you know, but I think it would be great having somebody that, a committee that's doing this. And because you guys know what you need, you know what's available and all like that. And I think that would be the best thing for us.
And you done it before, Derek? You've
Yes.
been on a-
Oh, yes, sir.
And how did that city choose to do it?
Either both,
Was council was involved or not involved?
both.
Oh, okay. They were in appeals.
Well, I've been involved with a couple of different cities that had different methods and one of them did have the council as the second panel. And what ended up happening was it went on for another year or 2 years.
Because these I mean.
Because these are voters as well, so it
Right.
puts you in a bind on that aspect as
We
well.
grew up with these people here.
Take care of it. It's what makes it hard, yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing to consider, I mean, if y'all do decide that y'all, like, I'll reiterate, y'all can decide if y'all want to rehear it or not. In other words, whenever they do their written request, it has to specifically say in there, their reasoning for the appeal or the reconsideration. And if you feel that monetary reasons are not a reason, then you don't even have to hear it. But if it's because, whatever, some other reason I can't think of, maybe because they were in the hospital for the last year or something like that, I don't know, and now they're going to get started on it. Something like that, you might consider going ahead and rehearing it.
Option
Got a
two.
consensus on it.
Deal.
Option 2, okay.
What did you want to talk about for litter and garage sale permit?
Okay, let's see, next one would be, litter. Our ordinance right now, it's all in black. The proposed, addition to the litter is in red underlined. This is, the reason for this is when we catch somebody, illegally dumping, we're not allowed to take it to court because the judge refuses to without having the penalty within the ordinance. Basically, the reason for he wants it specifically in the ordinance or he won't even hear the case. So we went ahead and we made definitions a little bit more specific. And then we added the penalty.
I don't know.
What's that?
What kind of, what does that mean? Patressible?
Hey, you. Intrusive.
What do you say?
It's Intrusible? Putrescible. I can't even say it. Putrescible.
It's your word is the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets stinky.
All right.
Putrescible.
No.
You might.
Future support.
Before we give it back to that show.
Fine. That's the words we understand.
What's that?
Thank you.
But yeah, it's. So,
Okay. Where's the penalty?
the penalty, second page, that 20-514, it's up to a $2,000. For anything that's fire safety, fire, public health, or sanitation related.
I got 2 of those. Okay.
Anything else would be up to a $500 fine.
And again, we'll need to bring this back as, you know, an ordinance, but we wanted to bring it before y'all for discussion before we did that.
Did Russell King fix his signs?
Yes. Yeah, and the last page, it just shows the Code of Criminal Procedure, the article in which municipal court has the right to fine.
Well, okay. Okay,
What's the reason?
And then
uh,
moving on, garage sale permits. On the first page in blue crossed out that's our garage sale ordinance. That is it, as it is right now. Following pages, is the proposed. A little bit more lengthy. It has the purpose and the definitions.
What are we doing here?
well, I think in summary, in my mind, it's one, do we want to continue to even regulate garage sales?
Right, yeah, and that's,
And then second, if we do, then we need to put more meat into what we're doing.
Okay.
that's basically what we did. Added the definitions, when it's required, the restrictions and the duration. But the main thing, like Jody had said, is right now we have to where they're only allowed to put one at the end of the block and on their property. Of course, nobody does that. They'll put them all over town. That's one problem we're having. But anyway,
And they don't take them down.
let's see.
What's the permit fee for garage?
And it's $10, and in our ordinance, it actually says you're only allowed to use the 3 that we provide. And we haven't provided garage sale signs since I've been here, or even before I got here. It's been many years.
It's the only way we can enforce it is to have a specific sign. You know,
Right.
If it's one of ours.
Well, in this recommended ordinance, they do have to have the permit number. And of course, let's see, their permit number.
Just the post.
It's the permit number and the start and date of the.
Yeah, and the date.
Well, the reason to even have this is so people don't have a garage sale every day and make it like a business and. Right.
Yeah, I mean,
We do have that to where they're only allowed to have 2 per year. That's by state law.
Right, doesn't change.
No, sir.
Changing that.
Or have a sales tax.
I think in theory, as I understand it, you do it because, we're in a position to intercept and not allow people to break state law. Right, you know, because.
That's,
4 times per calendar year here.
well, I need to make that correction. I saw that. That was from another, that was before. I'm sorry. I thought I fixed that.
You have to have sales tax.
Correct, yeah, that's to keep from having to charge those tax.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. Okay, one of the issues that we have is we have these people that have the garage sales and then they don't pick up their signs. So they leave them all over the place.
I get that.
And I know it takes up a lot of Bradley's time because that's what he does. He goes around on Fridays, he has to pick up the ones that don't have permits that are all over town where they're not supposed to be. And then on Mondays and Tuesdays, he's picking up all the ones that were left over from the weekend. That takes up a lot of time. And the question that we had asked for the attorney's opinion because we found in other cities where if somebody does leave their garage sale permits signs out after the event, can we fine them for doing so?
You can, but I think it has to go through municipal court. I think you have to do a
Right.
citation.
So
Yes.
it's a citation, even though we didn't physically see them place the sign on, as long as it has their information on.
That's why you require the permit number and the date, and you can also require other information.
If it doesn't have the permit number on it, can we fine them?
If it has their address.
You can, if there has their address, you can require, it's up to council, whatever you require to be posted on the sign.
Well, a lot of these people are not gonna get permits. That's why I'm asking those that,
They need permit.
It just has the phone number and an arrow pointing this way and you just drive.
well,
down.
no, it'll have the address.
Or the address.
Yeah, it'll have the address and the arrow. But they're supposed to have the permit number too.
So that would be, in that situation, like if they don't come and get approval, it's gonna be like any other citation that's issued. It's an evidentiary issue. Can you establish that they put up the sign? If it has their address, that's a connection to them, so you could, you know, that's some
They
evidence.
would have to prove otherwise that
Yeah.
they didn't place it. Okay, so there is a possibility of issuing a citation. And that's something for the council to consider, because like I said, it does take a lot of code enforcement's time. It's just dealing with garage sale signs. So the recommendation here is, in looking at other cities, is they fine them $50 for not picking up their signs in a timely manner.
What about
Could have a garage.
a sheet, a short list of very specific things on it? We give them a sign that's got the information, they pay a certain amount, they return the sign. You know, because it just says garage sale, unless it has an address, but that way, then they know the rules and they understand, okay, you gotta pick this thing up and don't leave it.
All these shopping carts.
Yeah.
Well, because you can do this. If someone posts a sign out of their own that's not authorized by the city and they're having a garage sale and it has an address or a sign or a finger or something pointed this way, trace it.
Mhm.
Go to the place and then ask, do you have an authorized permit to conduct a garage sale? And if they say no, then you give them a citation for not securing the proper permit.
Mhm.
And then you can also give them a citation for the sign.
Are you gonna have time to do that?
Well, that's on a weekend.
I mean, once you do it a few times, word's gonna get around and people are going to stop.
That's another thing, if they're on weekends, you know, they're voters.
Because another issue that we have is, you know, like this weekend, people are gonna plan on having garage sales. So Thursday, they're gonna put their signs out. Let's say, I'm not saying it will, but if the thunderstorms come blowing in and, you know, all these garage sale signs all of a sudden get lifted up, and then they end up in our storm drain system. They get, you know, that's another problem that we're having. So that, you know, it does become a litter issue. Because especially if they don't pick them up and they leave them out, and if he misses a couple of them, and when we get a rainstorm on, say, Monday morning or whatever, and all these signs are all over the roads and in the ditches or in the culverts or storm drains.
I think a lot of these garage sales are repeats, they're always the same addresses, you know.
So do we make a lot of money off permit sales? So
It might have been around $500 last year.
city here, so I mean, I would like to be able to have an ordinance that says, you know, if somebody, it becomes a nuisance to have a garage sale every day, every week, you know, in a neighborhood, that we have something that can stop that from happening, however but I really don't care if we permit garage.
Well, and that's some,
State law.
yeah, and that's something else to consider. That's something else to consider is that not do anything. And if we get a complaint about somebody having garage sales every week
Yeah.
in a residential area,
That does happen.
then we can enforce, you know, we can go into the code enforcement part.
That's kind of where I'm at. I mean,
Well, maybe we don't, like I said, we don't permit garage sales, but we do somehow address the fact that they don't pick up their signs in a reasonable amount of time.
Well, can we do like a combination of what Jim said? Maybe we don't charge for the permit, but charge a deposit for 3 signs and they'll come get their money back for the signs.
I don't know, I mean, that's putting more trouble and work on us to deal with.
Well, it says in the paperwork that we have to offer them signs anyways.
I mean, that's what
Yeah, right now it is, but we haven't been enforcing it.
we had like a little cardboard sign, I think.
It was a triangle sign
Yeah,
and you got it when you got them when you paid your permit.
yeah. And then I think for,
And it has the address, but it also tells you, I think, or it used to, this was in
it's been a while.
19. Yeah, I think it said you had 3 days, I think, to pick up your signs or something.
Well, there was a period of time, I know we had the people in my district that had an ongoing garage sale. I mean, it was all day, every day for a month or two or whatever.
Well, that's a business then, and that's where we come into play.
I know, but that's what they called it,
Right.
because it was out of their garage and they just had this stuff out there. And there was somebody out there all the time, you know, okay, come on.
Well, no, and there's people that go to garage sales to buy, and they'll buy stuff whenever the other people are closing. So they'll get it real cheap, and then the next weekend they'll resell it.
Well, I think what was,
They don't do that every other week, you know.
what some of the
I've
people
seen-
were doing was they were taking their stuff to that address and then
Right.
sell it out of there.
Consignment.
I think to me, it's kind of a minor nuisance. As long as the state law allows us to handle the nuisance, I'm okay, not worried, not regulating the garage sales. But that's my opinion.
So no charging for the permit, just regulating, if we get complaints. What about signs that are left?
That's my issue.
Yeah.
That's a liquor issue.
But the
Take it.
deposit issue or this deposit suggestion would clean that up. Because people are gonna want their money back.
Well, and that basically, whether we're permitting them or not, you know. If we are permitting,
Just do a free permit and signs to go with it. And take their deposit.
Deposit.
But they come and get a permit, they pay a deposit. And then if they don't, and then we explain to them this, and this, if they don't do that, we keep the money.
How much of the deposit be?
They're still gonna put
Not more than
they're gonna
1,000.
put the other signs.
Yeah,
out.
back
They're still gonna put the other signs out to say, hey,
There's
here's.
still gonna be people that are not gonna get it.
Well, there's that, but even if you get a permit, they'll probably still put it sign.
Oh,
handle
yeah.
it.
At Walmart.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm open either way. I just don't want to become a police state.
We're on the corner of Virginia and 35 on.
Bradley?
What could be possible is, as he said, you can still have a penalty for the sign being left.
Yeah.
Maybe get rid of the garage sale permit, wrap garage sale signs into the existing sign ordinance. Attach the penalty of if you leave your signs out, we track it down, it's a citation.
Yeah.
It goes to municipal court. The fine is paid. So again, the signs are still regulated. But it's not policing so much the garage sale side of it, it's just the abandoning of your signs, leaving littered across the city.
Yeah.
Like you said, word will travel after a couple of times.
Yes,
Yeah.
it will.
That sounds reasonable. Yeah.
And it was mentioned earlier, you can also, just putting it out there, you could have no fee for the permit. But use it as a method of kind of keeping tabs on who's having it and knowing whether there's gonna be signs out or not, yeah.
Because you post them on Facebook, right, Jody?
Yeah, I don't think Alyssa's been doing that, but yeah, we were, and then get back with her to.
But if you do
But those are the ones that come in for a permit. That we
only post the ones, yeah, they got.
I like the idea, like you said, just the permit, we don't charge you for the permit, but you're still gonna pay a deposit. That means we want to know that your sign is gone or whatever, you know, you've got those things that we're requiring of you. And if you don't abide by that, then we'll keep your deposit.
And the rebels with no permit, they just, I guess. they
Well,
get
they'll get them on the
citations.
sign citations.
Give them a littering, because that is littering.
Yeah, I think, we've got an idea.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's move on.
Confuse you enough?
Item number 2.
You got all that recorded, so I can go back and rehear all.
Zoning on.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's still one more under, the right-of-way maintenance, the verified council's wishes to pursue enforcement of right-of-way maintenance. Among, that has to be accomplished by adjacent property owners of undeveloped property. But
We signed up for it.
Could you repeat that? That is
In English, please.
accumulations, I think it's under the accumulations of property.
Accumulations on property.
And I didn't provide that. That's basically,
I mean, it's in what we were talking.
and, right, yeah.
It's in the garage sale policy?
No, it's
No.
accumulations on property.
Before
We-
letter.
Yeah, we just wanted to just make sure, reinforce, because we're gonna kick in a strong enforcement campaign, so we just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. You know, as far as mowing the grass in the right of way in front of private property. And I think we've been very successful in getting more participation and, you know, compliance from property owners, you know, that are living there, or have a business there, or whatever. But we're still struggling with compliance and working with people that have undeveloped property or wooded property and getting them to come mow because they can't use a shredder, they gotta use a mower and, or they just don't do it. So, historically, for, many years actually, Public Works has certain areas, particularly on 238, that they've been mowing, one, so we have a consistent mowing pattern, But so the question is, okay, is that fair to others that we're requiring them to mow in front of theirs? So do we want, do we want to have an exception for undeveloped property on, a state highway or something? Or are there any exceptions to that rule, or is it everyone's responsibility, regardless of the development of their property, regardless if it's wooded or not? They must maintain the right of way in front of the property. And so we got direction as we start enforcing it, because I know we're gonna get some pushback.
Well, those people typically have an ag exemption too, right? They do hay and stuff, so they're not really contributing any tax revenue, and so they're getting.
That's true.
So, yeah.
And the only, I personally, I know in my mind, there would be an exception if there's a drainage ditch. So we don't want just Joe Blow resident mowing a drainage ditch. But as far as anything else, that's the question. And, potentially the downside is that they're not all gonna mow at the same time. So there may be one's gonna have higher grass than the next. And so that won't necessarily be a consistent look. Anyway, again, for discussion.
Well, how would you enforce it? What's the enforcement mechanism?
Send them a letter, give them 7 days, just like any other property. And if they don't do it, then we get a contractor to do it, and then we send them a bill.
Yeah, but again, that's the question, and I've had this conversation somewhat with Anne Marie, and she says it's legal to do this, but can we put a lien on their property when it's, even though it's not their property, they didn't mow, it's the right of way. But that's the only thing we had to put a lien on would be their property.
Well, if you do.
Well, the way.
No homeowner has to cut in front of their yard. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Well, and the way that Anne Marie explained it is that the right of way, back in the day, we were given the rights to the right of way, but technically their property line is the middle of the right of way, is the way that she pretty much explained it. Is the way that I understood that she.
I think the right of way, does the right of way not belong to
Not the property line. I mean, it's
Trying to like,
talking about original.
It's an easement.
It's an easement.
It belongs to the property owner.
the right of way belongs to the state of Texas.
right.
Along the state highways. Now, there are some in the county where the properties used to go to the middle of the road, and an easement may have been given for the road.
No, I was talking about the right of ways.
They were sold for right of way.
Yeah.
But in here, like any subdivision in here, when it was platted with that right of way. The private owner never owned the road.
Yeah.
Deeded to the city or the county, whatever.
I'm thinking of that situation.
Okay, yeah.
I think you can put a lien on their house because they're not, if they don't own it, they're not.
But we can require that. So I think you can require that, and if they don't do it, there's a fine that go to municipal court, but I don't think you could go as far as put a lien on the property. For us to mow it, get a lien. That's where I don't know that.
I don't think you can.
I would ask the city, why did you plant grass on that if you wanted it mowed?
If the homeowner doesn't own it, I don't know how you can hold them accountable.
Grass there, if you want me to mow it, why'd you put grass on there?
No, but I'm saying there are people that put grass on it. Okay.
He's saying, why did the city put grass
In
on
the right of way.
I know that, but when you own that property, when the right of way, you own it. And you can either have grass on it or not. You can, what do you call it, round it up and not have grass on it, or you can have grass.
But we're talking about the property, and specifically, like, if you're looking on
like Alcoa Drive where the old.
Alcoa or on Ruston Street, like behind where all the wooded area on Broadway, south of Tiny Brandon Boulevard. we do one or two swap, paths there of mowing.
For most of them.
Well, no, this isn't Formos, this is LeBeau's that have there. And so that right of way, according to our ordinance, that should be maintained by the adjoining property owner.
Right.
And so is that our intent or are we willing to give exceptions in the case when it is undeveloped property?
See, and that's one of the things that I always wondered is, I'm sorry, I'll let you.
Yeah, no, you're good. No, go ahead.
Develop, no question. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay, if we have, say, somebody like across from Walmart on Tiny Browning, we maintain all that. That's just one example.
Yeah.
We keep all that clean. If we weren't to do that, a letter to the property owner, and if he didn't take care of it, we send a contractor over there and then we send them a bill for the expenses. And they don't want to pay it, what do?
Yeah.
If we take them to municipal court and then they contest it and they take it to district court, who's going to win? That's what I'm wondering.
I'll look into it further, but my initial thoughts are if they don't own the interest in that land, then how can you hold them accountable? Because it's different, as Jody was saying, it's different in some of these subdivisions where they own to the center of the road and then they just give out an easement.
Yeah.
Then they own that. Well,
Understand, yeah, with the easement, yeah.
We do not have that within the city limits.
yeah. So I'll look into it, but my initial thought is that you won't.
I mean,
That was a misunderstanding I may have had with Anne Marie, with her before, so that.
And maybe she knows something I don't, so.
So I don't want to speak for her. It's probably a misunderstanding.
right,
Keep
correct.
everything.
And so I'm just so we're all on the same page, that we recognize that, that there may be some areas that we are going to maintain for beautification efforts. And those are in front of areas that are not developed. If in fact they're developed properties, we are expecting business owner, landowner, or homeowner to take care of them, but it's undeveloped.
Like the one on Austin Street in front of Weaver's Groceries.
Across the street. Okay, so
It's on the other side of the
That's
street.
where the sidewalk is. So
when
we know people, I'm sorry, Tim, we know people use that sidewalk. So, yeah, I think we should maintain it because.
Right.
when the homeowners stop cutting that 10 feet of section, we can't, there's nothing.
I don't know, that's what,
Look at it. I'll look into it. Tim.
Be the same for everybody or.
Sure.
That makes no sense.
So,
Right.
but I still don't, I think it would be hard pressed to
Yeah.
lean on their property because, I don't know, but
I
we
think-
can.
I think that would be a countersuit. You expect me to take care of this? Well, why, get the grass off of there and then I'll take care of it.
But if in front of your house, you would want your home to look nice.
So who's responsible for a
So
sidewalk?
that's what we're talking about.
What?
So when a sidewalk.
Undeveloped property,
is
that's all.
responsible to maintain
I
the
can't-
The easement.
When a sidewalk is put in, who's responsible for maintaining the sidewalk?
Well, right now, the sidewalk itself,
No,
we're maintaining the sidewalk itself. As far as if the sidewalk cracks or busts or anything. As far as mowing it, right now, is that an exception or not? In my mind, no, that would be they should maintain that as well. If it in fact is a drainage ditch, that to me is beyond what just a homeowner should be able to maintain. But,
I've seen in some,
no exception in the ordinance. That's what I'm bringing up. Do we need to have some exceptions or clarify our intent?
I have seen where property owners are responsible for the sidewalks,
Yeah, that's what,
but I don't know if that's legal or not.
okay,
And then the next question is, if they don't maintain that sidewalk, what action can you?
That's what I mean.
'Cause that's what Jody is getting to. Can you put a lien on it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Look it up. I'll look it.
But I think, honestly, I guess that's the question. Because maintaining a sidewalk is critical for ADA and for safety and everything. Are we saying we're gonna, relinquish our responsibilities and just have the homeowner responsible for doing that? I don't know.
well, I just know watching them, it takes them a day to do all that because the sidewalk, you have to weed eat, you know, and
Yes, there.
Longer than that.
Extra.
it's not fair to the rest of the citizens that our employees are stuck doing somebody else's.
Well, and that's why I bring it up, because if this is what we're gonna do, we're gonna be making a push for enforcement, and I know we're gonna get pushback. I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Get you.
Do that, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Now we can move on. What about, where it says accumulations on property? I'm talking about all them cars on that property over there by my house.
That's a different enforcement deal, different workshop.
Okay. Yes. A lot of money there.
They got 10 cars.
Yeah, there's a undeveloped, there's property, he does maintain the property, but it's a big parcel of land that has like 10 to 12 vehicles on it at all times. There's no improved driveway getting onto the property, so they just hop over the curb.
Buying them at auction.
But there's nothing in our ordinance against it. They're not junk vehicles. They're all registered in his name.
But they go over there and get in the cars and drive off the curb and they spin out and they're just driving like it's a raceway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's city property. though.
From motor vehicle, it says it shall be unlawful for any person while a driver or passenger in upon a motor vehicle to throw or deposit litter, garbage, rubbish. What if it's like in the back of their truck?
That's illegal too.
It's illegal too, yeah.
But it doesn't say that, hey, it says, I think if it, well, never mind, but anyway, I think if it says comes from your vehicle.
So one more.
Yeah.
You're not actually depositing, you're not actually throwing it. Somebody could say, well, I didn't throw that, I didn't deposit it, it just flew out of my truck.
Getting impatient.
Well, that's also in state law
Give
too.
them a ticket.
Officers can, yes, and I can, yeah.
I've had objects fall off of a big trash truck, hit the windshield and break the windshield. And they don't want to pay for that, you know? Oh, you gotta prove that it came from the truck, you know?
Anyway, that was a good workshop, I really enjoyed it.
Let's go.
Two.
Okay, next half of the meeting.
Zoning ordinance.
This one doesn't have to be,
No. Well, maybe we should wait for
well, okay,
to get back.
yeah, well, just in summary, you know, I know we've been talking about zoning for what, 5 years plus. And so, and part of the discussions, I know it's been mentioned several times, to look at the simple ordinance that Point Comfort has. And as you recall, last summer, you were making application for a $300,000 grant that was going to help us redo or, you know, revisit and what do I want to say, improve upon or re-up our comprehensive plan. And in that would also look at zoning, you know. So my idea last summer was, well, we'll just wait and with this grant come in, we'll do this at that same time. Well, we did get the grant, but we just now got it. So we've had all this time that's come by, and I know people were, you know, some are getting antsy about it. Derek has spent a little bit of time and, you know, we took the ordinance we had, pared it down significantly, where it's very similar to what Point Comfort has. So I think the question is council interested in going ahead and not tonight, but, you know, having to look at the simple ordinance that he's at least started with and go ahead and try to adopt something that's very basic, like what Point Comfort's got, and then work with the planning team on this comprehensive plan that I would imagine is going to come up with something more detailed, more comprehensive zoning at the end of that cycle. But, you know, realistic, whether that's probably either way. So do we want to go ahead and do something now, get something at least in place, and then, you know, as a building block, and then recognizing that at the end of this comprehensive plan, process, that most likely there'll be recommendations for something more comprehensive.
Are we talking about zoning here?
Yes.
Yeah.
We've been talking about zoning forever.
Didn't I say that? I said that.
Let's either do it or let's stop talking about it.
Can we do something that's very simple that says we have a land use map?
That's what's in there. That's what's in there.
That's all I want in there.
And that's what we have.
Yeah, because all that other stuff, it gets messy real fast, but.
Well, have you had a chance to look at the one that,
I sent out.
Is that what front comfort?
Yeah.
Have a zoning board of regulation.
They have a zoning ordinance.
They have an ordinance, but they don't have.
This is
board and everything, do they?
I mean,
have a what?
This thing had a zoning board, or there was some, whatever that.
Oh, and yeah, and some of that was some of it that I kept from my original proposal.
So this is where we got in trouble the last round, was with all the zoning boards and how you appeal, and it got really detailed, so.
No, I mean, it's pretty, I mean, the planning board, they'll take over as the Planning and Zoning Commission. So if you have if you're in a residential district and you want to change, if you want a business, you have to request a change in zoning. So you go to the planning board.
Okay.
And the planning and zoning board makes a recommendation of yay or nay to the council. I mean, it's the same process. So.
Council, listen, we were told we weren't allowed to be in that.
No, that's the zoning board of adjustments.
Okay.
That's zoning board of adjustments. They take care of any appeal they may have. Like if I was to tell them, no, you can't, they don't think that if I tell them no on something, they think they have the right, they can appeal my decision.
Okay.
It can go to the zoning board of adjustments. If we have height requirements on structures, or like the setback requirements that we have, if they need a change in the setbacks, it'll go to the zoning board of adjustments. So kind of like we had one a while back at Redfish Retreat, because the water was halfway on his property, he didn't have enough room because of the setback. So he requested to move up within that front yard requirement so he could build his house. So that was a justifiable variance that was granted to him. The zoning board of adjustments will take care of that. And they are quasi judicial, but it wouldn't go to council. It would be just for the zoning board of adjustments.
This one didn't come to council either, right?
I'm sorry?
This one didn't come to council either. That's the planning board.
No, it did. It went to the planning board and then it went to, and they gave a recommendation to y'all.
Tim?
Yeah.
Sorry. The Victoria Economic Development Board said, hey, we're not going to get builders interested in building in Port Lavaca unless we have some kind of zoning thing, because they don't want to come in and put a neighborhood in, and then the next thing you know, they have something that detracts from their neighborhood. So we're gonna have to get our feet wet sometime.
So
if we want to grow.
And that's all I did was I pretty much just I did the non-conforming uses and all that. It's everything is bare bones. So basically all it is you have a residential district and a business district, and the business district includes the commercial and industrial, of course.
I did email that out to everybody.
Does this for current land use map?
No, I mean, it can.
Doesn't restrict multifamily.
Right, I mean, right now, it would just, I mean, you got your ordinance and it goes in tandem with our adopted land use plan, which we have an adopted.
Went through public hearing and everything. I mean, that got reviewed by the public, such as it was. So I mean,
So we're not changing that.
An ordinance that adopts that so we can actually enforce it. I'm totally fine with that, but I would like to keep it very simple.
Well, I did send that out.
I read part of it.
And so all I'm saying, again.
And I was like, well, this isn't what Point Comfort had, because, we were using that one as a guideline, and then it just.
Well, but I had like 5 pages of their definitions, and I kept those in there from my original proposal. The reason being is because later on, if we decide to put a little bit more meat to our zoning ordinance, a lot of the definitions are already in there.
Okay.
In fact, if y'all want to see the zoning map for Point Comfort, I could show y'all real quick.
They have restrictions to prevent
In
contractors.
fact, she could pull it up on the screen.
You can't split your house up.
Well, we need to do something and we need to.
Savannah?
Talking about it.
But no, I don't think it's gonna change. Say, we have the land.
We have land.
I put it,
That's his definitions that look different than what I remember.
just in case that they wanted.
Not definitions, but the.
Sounds like he's less.
Light industrial.
It's got a little bit, and so that's the question, do we want to be even more basic than that, you know?
I
And-
think we have a land use map that we've been using for years and it went through.
What,
But it's got,
the thing about the land, okay, you talk about that, but the thing is that we don't have any kind of if somebody was to come in and decide to put a business in a residential area and that's not in accordance with our map.
Yeah.
And you tell them no,
We don't have a link.
No, that's what I'm saying.
what can you do about it?
Incorporates the current land use map.
well, I think
Create a new land use map.
we don't.
I'm not saying you do.
But I think what I'm hearing, and I haven't looked at it closely, that we need to make sure that the ordinance that we've got and the definitions and everything, the areas match what we have in the current plan.
See, and what we have in our plan, that's what you can decide as a council. Okay, I agree that those areas, that's where, okay, so adopt that as your official map.
And it is, I mean, the land use,
I mean, it's your official zoning map.
Okay.
yeah,
You can do that without changing it. Or you could just change it. You got R1, R2, R3. You could just say, I want all this residential. You know, I don't think we had coastal water in that one. So that was in that proposed one.
I know.
Okay.
But no, you don't have to change anything. If you like,
And keep
yeah.
the land use map that we have, because again, that went through public comment.
I didn't add any districts or anything like that. It's like I said, it's bare bones just to get something started. And so that way it'll help us have a little bit more enforcement on some of the things that are going on that shouldn't be going
so
on.
why don't we do this? I mean, I have emailed that out and just everybody take an opportunity to look through it and email back any comments. And if we need, you know, we can have another workshop specific for it if we need to, or bring something back for a first reading, you know, depending on what kind of comments we get back.
Are you up against the deadline for the grant?
Oh, no, there's no grant.
We already got.
No, the grant we got.
Oh,
The grant's gonna be moving forward. I was just, you know, do we want? Again, initially I was thinking we would get the grant like by last October and we could do this with it, but that didn't work out. We can go ahead and put something now. And then we can just wait and see what recommendations that might come out of that.
And they're 25 months. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. It was gonna be a very long time, so. You know, my initial idea that we could wait, that probably wasn't gonna work out because it was gonna take a whole lot longer than I even thought, and we're even starting later than I thought, so that's why we thought.
She did, she was gonna pull up the zoning map so y'all can, but you're having issues with it, never mind.
But it's very basic. Yeah.
Okay.
so I don't think the
You got a
map
good
was
idea?
included in that. But
Derek?
there's a map.
You
that
got a good
shows
idea of what
residential
council?
1, 2, and 3 and light industrial.
send out
It's
It's on the website, but it's on our website, but I'll send that too, so you have it.
The land use, I saw it on the city website.
Yeah, that's
That's what he's referring to.
For me, just, we have R1, R2, let's just make the ordinance match what we have, with all these.
And then with the comprehensive plan, we can work on possibly a future land use plan.
Sure.
And then have that as our official zoning map.
Because then we'll have, like 6 public hearings.
right.
Right.
We'll get a better picture. If that's it all you want to present.
I think so, yes. And so,
Code enforcement.
Well, and I apologize. This is what the city manager for Point Comfort, he sent this to me back in June of last year. 'Cause that's their zoning map. That is simple.
no,
I wanted y'all to see that.
This is very simple.
Yeah.
So we tried that, but for some reason it ended up being like 1,000 pages.
Right. And I think the one that I have is, or that was presented was maybe maybe 20 pages, something like that, but I think 5 of them are definitions.
But
Strict on it. too.
yeah, the only other thing, we had left that last agenda item as pretty broad, just in case there was some other topic that you guys wanted to bring up code enforcement wise that we didn't think about that, you know, we could still discuss, but that's,
Oh, yeah.
we just left it like that.
Yeah, because,
You know that vendor, it's at the corner of.
yes,
1090,
he has a permit.
it's got a permit.
Yes, sir.
I had a complaint. They were thinking he was set up on city property and we were allowing him to sell political stuff.
Well, yeah, well, that would actually be state right away, but he was actually on
You should be behind the.
he was on private property. A lot of the flags along the road, they were on.
That was all private, that we can't do anything, but he was.
No, he had
That's against our ordinance.
he had the property owner's permission. He went through the proper channels. He got a background check. He got the peddler's permit. That's why he was shut down during the weekends, because he couldn't get a background check. So, because the person that was doing that on Friday was out of the office, but yeah, if y'all are happy with, or with at least presenting what was emailed to y'all, we could do that. But like I said, the main thing is it would help us with some of our enforcement with some of the issues that we have right now.
Yeah. We need to get started on it.
Yeah, I'm okay.
So I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I was just getting started.
Favor say aye.
Thank you.
Oh, oh, my legs.
12 years and nothing has
Well, I know it's-
Nothing has been.
You can't say that. We did launch a lead balloon and suddenly, I hate the.
Right. Get you to help me out.
Zoning lead balloon. You were there, weren't you?